It's so funny that to go back to that day we were shooting photos in the Greenbelt here in Austin, like out in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, man, I got this like website project idea thing that I want to do. I called like mindful wandering because wandering had been kind of something I had done and found a lot of value in just getting out and getting outside of myself / inside of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
I like to spend some time inside of myself,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think we've all experienced that from time to time.
You got to play around. Don't knock it till you try it. Anyways, it's hard to get weird, but no, we took these photos and it was like from then on, it was both of us just looking at this thing like what can we do with ourselves that's super true to who we are?
Yeah,
which is a kind of a clusterfuck.
It really is. So my background being an athlete and a music artist and stuff like that, I never really thought that I would ever have a camera in my hands the way that I do now. And back then, it was exactly that. Like I moved here specifically to shoot content and to shoot video and be a visual storyteller. And then the more I kind of consumed myself with that world and that realm and that environment and really just figuring it out.
Yeah.
Essentially, it just festered and grew into something, I guess. Like I'm doing all right, so I'm still here.
Yeah, when you're and you've continually over the past couple of years developed your skill, developed. You're constantly doing something, learn something else, fuck something up, do the next thing.
Dude, if I wish I had a camera on me 24/7 when I edit. I cut the stuff that's good and put it on YouTube, but there's some shit out there that I'm just like, oh man, if people knew the frustrations that I dealt with to, put 8 hours into a 14-second Instagram post.
Oh, dude, it's funny doing the podcast is so similar. Like we'll have recorded an intro for a show like 20 times, sometimes 30, and I don't keep track, but it's embarrassing. It's like I'm like, welcome back to the real. Shit, I don't like the way I said that. Like it's stuff like that happens all the time, and you end up in this place of just kind of it starts this like self-doubt rabbit hole, like should I even be doing this? And that's you have to constantly overcome that if you want to be this like quote unquote creative, which is it's a crazy life to take on.
Well, I think one of the biggest things for me that's made it so difficult is that right there, just the self-doubt behind being creative, because there's a huge sense of vulnerability in putting something out there that comes from within.
Yeah,
more or less, because I was talking to someone about it recently where the things that I create is a direct reflection of what's going on inside my mind, inside my heart, and just me in general. So the things that I put out there, whether that be a photo, whether that be a video like the one I released today, it's, where I've been in the last, couple months, that it's showing in the work that I'm putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it's great because I'm still being creative in a different light, whether it be, something a little darker or moodier or more emotional or deep. Or it's something where, if I'm on this super high on life situation, then everything is going to be just like high energy and like in your face, and, which people love that. But at the same time, which is funny, you have to be real.
Yeah.
You have to show people that you're a real person when it comes to this. And it's really easy to get distracted and get lost in what everyone else is doing and compare yourself to that. Not necessarily because you don't think you're good enough, but there's many levels to self-doubt.
Yeah.
In my mind, and it's not just like I'm not good enough, period. You can break that down into a million different ways and say like, well, why? What are they doing that I'm not doing? How much longer have they been doing this? Am I going to be here where they are 5 years from now, but 5 years from now they're going to be that much further ahead, and I'm still just it's this
like you're chasing a carrot.
It's this vicious cycle of self-doubt and am I good enough?
Do you think that being an athlete, right? And you and I, like, 'cause it's funny because we're both in this place where we're doing creative work, and we're both two of the largest men I've ever seen.
I've seen, not me, but you, yes. But we are very large.
But it's like
beings.
you're carrying this camera. It's like we came from that athletic background where I remember distinctly growing up, not really being valued for what I thought or what I was capable of, unless it involved hitting someone or being strong or
Because you
being
played
big.
football.
I played football.
Okay, so I played basketball. So there's a difference there.
But it's something.
But I
But it was
get
like
it.
I was valued for my athleticism, and that's where it stopped. And I was it's kind of told a story as to who I was, and I bought it for a long time until the moment when all that got taken away. When I blew my S1, I couldn't fucking walk without pain. I couldn't, I suffered a back injury working in the summer, and I couldn't move my left leg. It was. And everything I'd ever valued by myself was completely gone for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh shit, how fragile is all this stuff outside of you that you can't. I didn't have the language for that back then, but I didn't really actually have this.
You kind of have that sense of, you just say you didn't have the language for it. You kind of have that sense of awareness, but you might have just not know how to articulate it. Because I kind of felt the same way.
Yeah, and then whenever you get it taken, whenever it goes away, like, well, I have to fill this big void with something.
Exactly.
So then it's, what's the next thing? What's the next? And you run out of things. You run out of things. You're like, well, shit, I better look within at some point.
Dude, that you and I are like so much similar than a lot of people probably know. But it was the same thing. I blew my knee and came back to the States, and I went to school and I played college ball for like half a year and had to bail and drop out of school because just family stuff, and like my mom needed some help, and I did the best that I could to just be there and work and help out, and what's next? Essentially you dedicate, for me it was at that point 20 years of my life to something, and essentially that's all I knew. I knew how to do other things. Like I was sponsored for skateboarding when I was growing up, so that was pretty cool. But, at the same time, I'm now at that point, I was like, 21, 22 years old with all this under my belt. And it's like, all right, well, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do for my life? Essentially, my life is, the grand scheme of things, a quarter of the way over, if you want to, look at it that way. But just trying to find that next thing to really put your effort and focus and energy into it's running a hamster wheel.
Yeah, it is, and it's the seeking outside of yourself, and what can we chase? How can we like, what rabbit do you want to chase for the next 60 years till you die?
Exactly.
It's like you think about that, and it's like that's an interesting thing, and then it's funny to think about how that spins into being creative, and that's your kind of your phrase, like stay creative.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain level of curiosity that comes with, I say that disillusionment is very powerful. A lot of times, like when you say, like, if you've been married for 10 years and like everything just kind of falls apart, and you're like, fuck, you're completely disillusioned because you bought into a story, you bought into a narrative that someone told you was going to happen, right? You checked the boxes you're supposed to check, and you're supposed to get the fucking thing.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
The Cracker Jack box toy, right?
Yeah, the lick and stick tattoos.
Exactly. It's you're supposed to get the thing, and when that gets taken away from you at a young age, I feel like you get really fucking curious because you don't have an option.
Yeah,
it's either submit or get curious, and then curiosity spins into creativity in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, at that point, at least in my life, it's one of those things where I was raised by a single mom. I mean, she's the best, and she's always been super supportive of what I do, and always helped me, was an enabler, so she always was like, well, in a good way, you know what I mean? And she always wanted me to try new things and like be the best that I could be, and if I'm going to do something, do it wholeheartedly and like really put my effort and energy into other things. And that's when I picked up music for the first time when I was like 14 or so, and had been playing a little bit up until, I stopped playing basketball, and got into songwriting and taught myself everything that I know about music now, and play 5 or 6, 7 instruments, and I've cut a couple albums. But that was one of those things that I was like, I could see myself doing this.
Okay.
And then it came to a point where like I was getting close to the Cracker Jack box prize, and I entered this really big contest, and I needed to get top 3 in order to get all these accolades and like studio time and shit like that, and I got 4th by like 3 votes. Just deflated. Like, that's the best word that I can use. And I was just like, man, fuck music.
So you just gave it up right then? I
haven't written a song since.
Wow.
Yeah. I still play, and I still love music, and anyone who knows me knows that if I like walk by a piano, I'm just like, I need it. And I'll go sit down and I'll like play, or if someone has a guitar in their house, I'm like, is this playable? And they're like, can you play it? I'm like, yeah, I'll tune it up for you too if you want to play it. Like, which is really funny.
Awesome.
And kind of around the time that kind of stuff was happening, that's where things snowballed into what I'm doing now,
with
these
video,
things.
yeah,
with
video
video
and
and
photo,
which is crazy because I talk to my mom about it sometimes, and we just say, I ask her, like, do you ever think I'd be a professional filmmaker and videographer and traveling the world essentially doing what I love and not answering to anybody but myself? She's like, no. I thought you'd still be playing ball.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
yeah.
well, I don't,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know
But
what that is, yeah.
if you don't have the openness, right, and sometimes the creating the fucking openness to try new things is really painful. But if you don't have that, you don't get to start to like push the ball down the hill, right?
Yeah, of
Because
course.
with content, like the way that you do it, and there's a reason that I hit you up first person for the Realness retreat. There's
Yeah.
a reason why I do things like that, where it's like this guy's been so willing to learn and curious about what's going on. Like one of the reasons I want to bring you on the podcast is to talk about like what fuels that creativity, and then you, like. Again, like taking that fourth place, right? Fourth place where you got really nothing besides like a pat on the back, maybe.
If that. It was just like, oh, this is great. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's like, now what? Okay, let me
Yeah.
find another form of expression that means something to me, that can add value to other people. I mean, shit, the first photos you took of me were like, they were free. They were free. It's like, I mean,
They were for tacos.
they were for tacos. It was Choco Exchange, right?
Which if anyone who's my closest friends know me, that if food's involved, man, my camera will always be out. Like, oh, you're feeding me?
we
Add
just
a
had
couple shots on that, we're good.
we had a few tacos before this podcast, which is great.
I had 4.
4 meaty tacos. Well,
4 large man-sized tacos.
yeah, but you end up in this place where it's like, all right, let's create something. Now and that's one thing I love about the podcast, love about your content, is that it's nothing until you make it something. That's one thing I learned whenever I was created the intention journal and put that out there. I'm like, this wasn't a thing until I decided.
I love.
It's
by the
fucking crazy. Oh, thanks, man.
Took it to Alaska with me.
It's been traveled. They're all over the world now.
Mine's like super dirty and
I
stuff.
saw it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's how it should look.
I was trying to like lick it and like wipe it off. Like, oh god, this needs to look better. No, wait, it has to look used. Just like starts slamming it on the ground.
It's like a
and
pair of
shit.
Converse or Vans that aren't beat up. It's like they
Oh.
gotta look beat up.
Absolutely.
So what does it feel like? When you take that step, you go into creating content. You're like, okay, now I'm in this world. Now I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna get paid to create. What is that? Where does the fear lie in that for you? 'Cause that's something that I feel like a lot of people talk about, wanting to be a fucking influencer. Everybody wants to start a podcast, dude. You can check my Instagram.
Everyone wants
Everybody
to be a
wants
fucking
to-
influencer,
Dude, and I'm like,
including myself.
and we all do, right? I'm like out here trying to influence people, and it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice for that role?
Absolutely.
Right, there's something to be said for that. But what itch does that scratch in you as a video photo guy? The guy that's like you're the guy you're creating a visual representation. You're creating a story. Like what about you gets fired up for that?
In regards to just being creative.
And being creative in that way.
Can you rephrase the question? That was just like you asked the question, and I was like, all right, I got this, and then you like went around, and I was just like, all right, I'm standing outside right now.
So there's something to be said for, and I think this is in any form of expression, right? Whether it be fucking Instagram,
Because you mentioned
YouTube.
fear. You mentioned there was like a fear, and that's why I was like, oh, okay, I can.
So you're putting something out into the world that isn't a thing until you make it a thing,
Okay.
right? So there's something there's some kind of need that's fulfilled by doing that. I think about that with these podcasts. Like what need needs to be seen, exposed, validated by this expression?
Oh, okay.
Like what itch are you scratching?
yeah,
like, I
for
think
sure.
it's like
I think
that there's a certain way that you're putting that out there, and I think there's something huge to be said about that if you want to step into that world.
Yeah, no, man. I think the biggest thing for me, which kind of goes into the video that I released today, is just the direct reflection of how I'm feeling, and I may not want to come directly to someone and say like, hey, I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
So let me just go create something that can convey that same message in a very artistic way to where other people can empathize with that might be scared to put themselves out there
Get it.
in that state of vulnerability. So like I'll let you into like a couple things that I'm going to be working on. But there's this series of posts that I'm going to do, and one of them is, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I'll tell you the premise behind them.
Yeah.
One of them is, what is your biggest fear? And these are going to be very, very edited shit. Whether that's like in After Effects or Photoshop, but it's going to be, something that when you watch it, it's going to be like, fuck, like I feel that. Or maybe you don't, but you know someone who does.
Yeah.
Because chances are, if you're not feeling a way, you know someone who's going through something. It's like that 3 degrees of separation stuff.
Mhm.
But so one of them is going to be, what's your biggest fear? And that can be anything. The next one is going to be transparency,
Mm-hmm.
and the last one is going to be dreaming in color. So those are like 3 really like deep things that I've felt in the last, few months or so that I feel really needs to be conveyed in the proper light. And I think just putting things out there, I don't know, man. I just love doing what I do. Like
Yeah.
it's really hard to because I've never been asked that question before.
Yeah.
As far as what itch are you trying to scratch when you put something out there, like what gets you fired up for? And it's just I know a lot of people's not going to see my stuff. I know a lot of people's not going to fucking like my stuff. I know there's going to be people who talk shit, and I don't really care. But in my mind, it's kind of something similar to if you're bottling up all of your emotions, and then you just have like a meltdown one day.
Yeah.
I've had, creative droughts, and I've been super unmotivated, and I've been super stressed and anxious and sad and melancholy, and just like the list goes on and on and on very recently.
Yeah.
And I made a post about it the other day talking about those feelings and saying, like, I'm human. Life is here. Life is now. Like, it'll chew you up and spit you out if you let it, but I'll always bet on myself. And I think for me, putting the content out that I do, it's me kind of just popping the top off of that bottle and saying, like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
No, that you hit the nail on the head.
Okay,
dude.
good.
You did a great job. And then for you guys, this is Josh's first podcast, by the way.
100%. It's my first podcast.
So that's something that I wanted to get to. You got right to it, and that's that the content doesn't come because it's like this is what people want to see. This is what people want to hear. This is what people want to. It's like no, you're putting out things. This is why I love the stuff you put out so much, and why I love having this conversation with you, is because it comes from a place of true, genuine like self-expression, and I think that's why people can connect with it. That's why I watched that video you're putting up today and got chills.
I appreciate that.
Right, it
man.
was just like
yeah.
I was like, damn, and you
Dude,
and you
so
put
many-
a voiceover in there too, which and I see that in myself when I put these podcasts out and things like that. It's like,
yeah.
this is me. I'm trying to sort it out. You
And
know, I
that's-
sort it out through conversation, but it's like if you get with imagery, with music, there's a difference. You can hear one song that's written, it could be the same exact words, and then sang by somebody who fucking feels it. There's a resonance with that, visual, audio, whatever it is, that
Completely
people
agree.
it goes to the soul, it goes to the bone. It's like, yeah, I get that. Whatever that person's feeling, like I've felt before, and I can connect with that.
And there's something to be said about how people perceive and digest information, whether that be a song, a video, a photo, like just a quote. Like it's going to resonate different with every other person. And I think what's good for one person isn't good for the next person.
Yeah.
And what's bad for, so on and so forth. So I think that in itself is a topic of conversation, is just how things resonate with people and how people are making those connections with you, with your art, because that's why people are successful.
Yeah.
Like that, being relatable. Like when it comes to curating content, of course there's like the numbers game behind it and like the analytics behind things, and which is all great, and you kind of do have to, you have to walk that line, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you got to put yourself in the right light and put yourself out there at a time where majority of the people who could potentially get something from it or take something from it are there, and they're present and they're welcoming to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%.
I feel like I'm rambling.
Dude, this is a very tangential podcast. You can
rambling.
ramble freely, my friend. No, I think, and I look at this, and we were over tacos earlier. We were talking about how your intentions of getting attention. And I said that, and I was like, oh, that actually kind of has a ring to it, where it's like, it's taken me probably 5 years of kind of being aware that I appreciate attention. And I have to.
Oh, come on.
And being to because there's a point of it where it's like you're being naive about yourself, right? Like I think naive was a state of being for me that I've battled with for a lot of my life, right? But if you look if I look back and put the dots together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connect the dots through coaching, being in front of people, and not doing it because to look at me. It was like I just felt like I could do it well, and when I had people's attention in a way that was genuine,
Unforced.
it wasn't like I was even having to try. It just
Yeah.
was a thing. Like when I was coaching fitness and strength and conditioning and weightlifting, it was like, yeah, we were doing weightlifting and we were doing CrossFit and we were
Yeah.
doing whatever, but it's like it was not about fitness. at any point. I mean, maybe for a minute there, and that's why I trained. But whenever I got in front of, it was like whenever I got in front of people, and it was a class of 20, 30, I was doing like a weightlifting seminar, I was doing something else, like something about being able to speak to people and feeling them resonate with what I had to say. And this may be about how, moving your feet in a snatch and clean and jerk, or a setup for a deadlift, like just gives them a little bit of a spark of something.
Dude,
where they, like,
everyone's got their own approach to the platform.
They figure it out, right? Where
For sure.
They're figuring out something about themselves and how they move and live, essentially through what you're sharing with them. And that was something that fired me up. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I do love attention. And I got told my whole life since I was a little kid by my aunts, who were kind of my big sisters, that I was like a selfish brat, that I was spoiled, that I was whatever. I was very gregarious and loud, so I just made myself small. And then I was in the junior high, and I was 6 foot tall and 200 pounds.
I was gonna say you were a chubby kid, weren't you?
I wasn't. All I wanted was to be smaller. All I wanted was to fit in. I just wanted to not be seen. I was just so big, and I was awkward, and I couldn't like talk to girls, and I just wanted to be so small.
Oh my god!
And I wanted to like bottle myself up, and then get to this point where it's like now it's taken me till being 30, 31 now, but like 30ish, where I'm like, oh, I can just like I can let myself be
yourself,
me, fucking finally, like looking back on my 20s, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of learning there, and like reluctance and just pulling off the layers, and boom, you're naive because you came from a fucking small town. This is how the real world works. Fucking show up. Oh, you're actually capable of doing great things if you really fucking put yourself to it. This is what discipline feels like. This is what it feels like to fall on your goddamn face. And all of those things stack up, and you can stand on that foundation and go, fuck yes, I'm doing something with myself, and I feel good about how I show up in the world.
Dude, cut. Well, that's what we should have ended on that. No, I'm kidding. No, dude, I completely agree, man. I think learning about yourself, which is something that I'm starting to get a lot more into, and just being a little more in tune with my own needs and being a little selfish, for one reason or another. I think being a little selfish and learning about yourself will definitely open your own eyes and take the blinders off, and like you said, just kind of peel back those layers until you are standing on this foundation that you've built yourself, nobody else, and you're standing there saying like, I'm here.
Yeah.
This is who I am. If you don't like it, fuck you. I don't care. And what's funny is like, I will like blatantly tell somebody that.
Yeah.
Like if they're just like, you're a fucking dick, or like you're a tool, or like you're too much, I'm just like, there's the door.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Mark Manson said something, and I'm gonna butcher the quote, but it's you can't be exceptional to some without being a fool to others.
I feel like that's probably pretty spot on as far as the quote's concerned. I don't know the quote, but that's
something like that.
Good.
That's part of it. It's like if you want people to be, people think that Tony Robbins is a fucking joke, and then millions of people think he's the Messiah. It's
him and Joel Osteen.
Exactly right. But it's like if you live your life in a place of like neutrality, well, then nobody's gonna make a decision about you.
You're gonna get walked all over.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 100%. And dude. I mean, that's, and that's one of those things that's said so much, but not many people actually get it and understand it. Like people are all the time just like, oh, haters this or haters that, and like all this other fucking bullshit that has to do with that. Like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like if you got people, I don't know if it's a quote or if someone just told me this, but it was if you're not like pissing people off, you ain't doing shit right. Or like if people aren't like mad, like if you don't have hate, or like people aren't like fucking with you, or people aren't, I forget what it was, but it's just that premise is like you said, you have this group of people who has made the decision about you, who like thinks you're a good person, your inner circle more or less. And then you have like other people who are just like these outliers or outcasts that are just like, indecisive, or just like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Or fuck this girl, whatever. And, I mean, that's life.
Yeah.
100%.
But that's, at least they had to make a decision. That's one thing I love about, you talked about transparency earlier. It's nice when someone like, you can tell when someone like they either like you or they don't, and it's okay, man. It's okay.
Yeah.
And being comfortable, and that's again looking within, being like comfortable with yourself, and it's like, hey, here's the things that I value about myself, and also, we talk about this a lot with confidence. And I think the higher, like the more confidence you have in who you are and who you're not, the more vulnerable you can be, right? If you're pretty clear on the fact, like I know I'm loud, I know what I'm capable of doing, and I also know what I'm really not good at.
Yeah.
So I'm okay when someone judges me or criticizes me for not being good at something I'm not good at. I'm like,
You're
yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm horrible.
Like, think about us talking about audio and video earlier. Like, that's not something I'm good at, so I'm extremely receptive and want to learn.
yeah.
Right? Versus being like, oh, I know I host a podcast, so I should be really good at this, and fuck, I'm ashamed of myself for not being good at audio. And it's like,
or being ultra defensive and like being a dick about it.
exactly.
There's like a few different levels to that. There's like like you said, the receptive, like I want to learn, and I know that I've recognized that I'm bad at something, and now I want to grow.
Exactly.
And then there's like the woe is me, self-doubt situation, and then there's just like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm having a bad day, all right?
Exactly. And then when it's funny how it all dovetails together where it's like, all right, cool. So I'm really actually confident and I know what I bring to the world and I know what I kind of suck at and where my like holes are, and that's fucking awesome too. Good to know. I love knowing that because that gives me awareness. Then I can be vulnerable and learn and grow, and that feeds back into being more creative. Because with more awareness of who I am and more vulnerability and the capacity to learn, well, that just feeds back into, that all funnels back into being creative. And like, well, that means I can really shape up the way I express myself in the world because, fuck, here we are. Like, I at least know what I'm showing up as and who I'm being. Something about the way of being, like way of thinking, like not what you're doing or how you're doing. It's like, who the fuck are you being right now? If you were to ask yourself that question, like, who am I being,
dude? And we're gonna plug your journal here because it's that's one thing that I really love. I mean, you'll say it a lot better than I will, but for those of you who don't have the Intention Journal, $14.99 on Amazon, and it's Prime available, 5 stars. Get that shit. But no,
shameless.
I don't care. That's one thing that I've actually really enjoyed is in the journal is you're taking essentially an out-of-body look at yourself for like this like judgment-free self-expression and peeling back layers of yourself every day.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the sections in the journal is how are you being seen? And it's not like I'm looking in the mirror and looking at myself and saying, oh, well, my hair's fucked up or, you know, like whatever. It's like, how am I being seen by the people that are coming in contact with me every day? And I'm not even joking. Honestly, since there was like maybe a week since I've had the journal where I felt pretty good about filling out that category. And since then, it's just been like it sucks to say, but it's been like the most dismal category.
It's challenging,
but
man.
it is very challenging.
Yeah.
Because how honest are you willing to be with yourself?
Yeah. And knowing that the only person who's going to see that journal, unless you choose otherwise, is you. Yeah. So the only judgment that's in there is yours.
Yeah.
So
which we're our own worst critic. So that makes it like, shit. What am I writing down?
Exactly.
Here?
Well, we're also super critical of ourselves, right? Like Don Miguel Ruiz talks about this. It's like you'll tolerate as much bullshit. That's not how he says it, but you'll tolerate as much bullshit from other people as you give yourself. And once they start giving you more bullshit than what you give yourself, then you'll stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And you see people that are super defeated and kind of beat down in that way, you know. And that's one thing. The way that I said I was being naive, like I was allowing myself to be naive. I was choosing that aloof, naive way of being, and it was that question in my own morning pages journaling. That's why it's in there. Was because I was like, wow, I'm being naive. I'm like, fuck. Wow, that's that word, like that word. Even saying that word now, it's like I could feel that it was like
gross.
It's hard,
like moist.
Yeah.
For those of you who love that word out there.
Yeah, dude, and that I really appreciate you doing that and seeing that and fucking loving the journal. But that's
no, dude, it's great. I'm definitely gonna buy. I didn't buy this one, thankfully. But no, I got the first crooked printed. The one that's not even centered up. The diamond doesn't even attach.
You got the pre-edited version. You got the rough draft, which is also kind of cool. Like only 3 people got those.
Oh, well, thank you, dude. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, no, I have that journal, yours, and then I just have a normal notebook that I'll write more lengthy, detailed. You know, yours is kind of like the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Of like what's going on. But then I'll write like 5 pages of shit while I'm sitting on my porch with like a whole bottle of wine, trying not to, listen to too much John Mayer. And I'll just be scribbling for like an hour. And it feels great though.
That's what I want to get to now, man. Because I mean, last week on the show we had Amber. Right, Amber Sears, who's super heart-centered, really a beautiful soul. Like somebody that her and JP Sears are 2 people that I value tremendously in my life. Like just soul family. And then I love I love being in charge of the show, first of all, and then I bring on you're definitely the broiest bro that's been on this show.
And what's funny is you turned me down for like the last year, probably at least. I think probably for that reason,
No, I knew, and
because
we
everyone
talked
else is so just like zen and like
yeah.
woke. If you want to say that, everyone is like so that.
Well,
And I'm like the furthest from that. I feel like
exactly, and that's part of my own narrative, my story about what this show is and how it's changing and how
Yeah.
I mean, dude, this thing has been evolving like fucking wild. Like the fact that we have a sold out retreat that you're shooting content for,
Yeah, I'm stoked.
and I'm
Yeah.
that's even I told you it was like, early in your when you're in the come up, right? You're like trying to make this thing happen. It's like, what can I get for free? What can I do? Whatever. And I'm like, I remember when I was talking to you about doing the thing, and it was like, I remember saying like, no, I want to pay you because people are paying me. Like people are paying me.
Yeah, that was like my first. I think I was just like, I can't do it for free, or no, I think I might have said like, am I doing this for free, or something? Just because I give a little bit of leeway to my friends who actually appreciate what I do and value what I do as a content creator and photo and video guy. But dude, I still barter for stuff.
Oh, we always do, but it was so nice to be like, no, people value this. I value you.
Dude,
let's bring this in, and that feels fucking. And the fact that I like hit the Venmo like right then. It was like,
dude,
boom,
I was
done.
I wasn't expecting that because I was out on location actually shooting for like a pilot for a TV show for Showtime. And I was there, and I was talking to one of like the DPs or the grips or whatever, one of the assistants, and I was just like, "Oh, dude, I think I just locked down this other job. They're gonna talk about it, whatever." And then the Venmo came through, and I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker, let's go get drinks."
Well, and that's the thing is like that. But it was funny. I was thinking about that. I'm like, I checked the account with the business account with all that stuff in there, and it's like, how do I want to be right now? Like, I'm fucking stoked to have you do this. I want you to be stoked about doing it.
Oh yeah.
Why not pay you right now? What am I waiting on? Obviously, I can do it. But I could wait and do whatever. And it's like, no, let me just knock this thing out, and I'll account for it. And that's the thing. That's the thing that's really
pulling the trigger on stuff. Man.
Feels so
it's
good.
So like gratifying.
Yeah, but a lot of times, like that's again, how am I being seen? How am I being seen for people that I appreciate?
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to bring you on though in this is a lot about what you've been going through the past few months, right? Like you've been hitting me up, and I'm like I'm the big bro that can feel, has feels.
Yeah,
it knows that.
No,
so
man.
I want to talk about.
I think the reason why I do hit you up though, in times that I just kind of need to talk to someone, is just the perspective you provide on just life in general.
Yeah.
And being a little bit older. I mean, you only got what? You're 31.
Yeah.
Damn. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So I mean, I'm 27. So you only got me by a few years, but yeah, no, I think just the fresh perspective and just different, you just see things differently.
Yeah.
And a lot of people see you as like this bro. I don't know, I fucking do. But at the same time, it's, you do have a very conscious and present energy about yourself.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude.
Well, dude, at 27, I was going through some of the. That's why I actually really appreciate when you reach out, and I see what's happening with you is that you're starting to learn how to step into your feelings, as a man.
Yeah.
Which is like pulling fucking teeth.
Well, it is, and I was talking to my buddy Rick. Rick, if you're watching this, you think you're better than me?
Rick's watching.
Rick, you're watching this.
Or
naked.
Listening.
No, but no. I was talking to my buddy Rick, and he also has a who happens to be like my assistant, and he has a very fresh perspective on life in general, and he said kind of the same thing. He's like, guys don't catch a break when it comes to like being vulnerable and showing feelings. Like people look at males and immediately have like that stereotype more or less of they have to be strong.
Yeah.
And they have to hold it together and this and that, and it's just like we're people, like we feel things, and a lot of times like we don't get that second chance that maybe a female will get, when it comes to X, Y, and Z, being emotional. But
yeah. Well, it's funny because you look at that and it's like, well, women don't get the chance to be. This is where feminine and masculine become really funny, right? Mm-hmm. So men don't get a chance to fit their like gender stereotype. Don't get a chance to be emotional, and then women don't get a chance to be like assertive, right? Yeah. That's one of the big parts of the retreat that's why one of the other reasons I'm so stoked for you to be there is to see that, because it's I think 8 women and 2 guys, right? So we're gonna be out there doing the thing, but a lot of it's about masculine and feminine expression, because that is a big part of how we learn and grow and what's left out, right? So we have an idea, story of what a man is, and we play that role out. versus, allowing ourselves to get into journaling and drinking some wine, which is very Sex in the City of you, right? And it is, but it's also super, super helpful whenever you need to fucking feel, right? You need to get up there and just like journal it out, cry a little bit, like, and you don't have to do it on your Instagram stories, but it's
dude, I cried for hours making that video.
Yeah.
The video that I released, which I'll plug my shit later, but yeah, dude, I mean, it's just something that, I had a buddy that passed away a few weeks ago, and he was my best friend in college. He was one of my teammates, died in his sleep.
Yeah.
Which that's like the only like comfort, I guess, that comes with that situation. It's just like, yeah, I lost someone super young, super close to me. His family was like my family. My mom was like his mom. I've picked a really funny photo of us on this like Raptor 660 4-wheeler, and I'm 6'5" and he's 6'8", and he's on the back, and we're just like ripping through the yard. I'm just like pointing at my mom like with the camera, and he's just like in the back. Dude, it's like the funniest photo, but I'll probably end up getting it tattooed on me.
Yeah.
As well as some Guitar Hero buttons, because that's all we did in college.
Same.
We'd pull all-nighters, and we'd have to be up in the morning for practice at like 5 a.m. in the snow, and we would just be like, one more set? Like, all right, let's do it. We fucking hit like 5 more songs, and we're just like, one more? Oh, yeah, let's do it.
College and Guitar Hero, man.
Yeah, it was great.
It's good bonding time.
See, and Little Caesars.
And of course.
$5 for life.
Damn, dude. You're just talking about my freshman year, but yeah, the bonds you create through growing like in being in those containers is like so funny. People don't get video games until you like bro out with your homies for 8 hours straight.
Dude. Yeah.
So with losing him, like you went through a wave of, you've had a breakup in the last few months. Dude, I hit you. I just happened to text you the day after, which is funny. It's me being intuitive. Like, I wonder what Josh is up to.
Yeah.
No real reason.
Dude,
I had no reason to text you.
That's a fucking universe, man.
You're like, yeah, my friend died. And I was like, damn, dude. And then seeing the video you put together that we've been talking about a little bit here, it makes so much sense, and I think that's why it had a very strong resonance as well. Like, that's something huge, and being able to have the outlet to express that is fucking awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm very thankful for the people that support me, whether it's in the shadows or people that support me directly. Because I see it. People think that I only have like 12,500 followers on Instagram, and they think you're fucking somebody. Like I'm not. Like I'm just a normal dude. I still go through and I look at pretty much every person's account who likes my stuff. I'll go like a couple photos, or if I like what you're doing, I'll like hit you up and tell you that, or follow you, or whatever. I see who watches all my stories. I go, I comment back to everybody. Like I'm not too good
super
for that.
Engaged.
Yeah. So I think,
But as you step into this, like, I mean, this is, and they call it in like in the woo woo culture, like your Saturn return, right? Like you're 27 to 32. It's like when a lot of shifts happen, especially for men, and my experience and the guys that I work with. So like when you step into that, and you're like, what stories go through your head as you're kind of going through challenging experience where you got to feel the feels, man? We're gonna keep saying that, but when you got to feel, it's like what challenges really just pop out to you? What stories do you tell yourself? Like how do you try to hide from that if you do?
Honestly, within the last couple of years, I don't think I try and hide from it much.
Yeah.
I'm pretty expressive when it comes to my feelings. One person in particular, which I don't know if she's gonna watch this, but if she does, oh, dude, we're getting into it right now.
Yeah, we are.
She knows. She knows, and that's where the transparency, and that's where what's your biggest fear. Those projects come into play, and that person that knows me probably better than anybody else does, other than my mom. I think pertaining to that situation, love Gavin DeGraw, by the way. Do you hear this music playing right now?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think with that situation, and just like the stories that I wouldn't necessarily say I tell myself to like bottle those things up and more or less recluse and maybe hide a little bit from those feelings. For me, it's reliving what happened and making sense of it through my outlets of, Instagram, YouTube, writing. One of my friends told me today, my friend's wife, Megan, if she watches this, Hi, Megan. Hi, Davey. I love you guys. She said that, she believes that I could be like an exceptional writer.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's not
what?
that much different than making anything else.
I don't know, man. Words are hard. Words
That's how
are
I feel
hard.
about videos.
Yeah, and audio.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but so when you get into that, right? When you get into that, and it's like, all right, what? And everybody has these like the patterns. It's like you get into this like, well, fuck you then type of state of mind, right? Everybody kind of gets there. It's like, well, the sensing of blame and assigning blame and or taking blame yourself. I have one of the guys that I work with who his ex-wife had cheated on him and he kind of like blamed himself. And I was like, hey man, like. Maybe you. She's like, I pushed her to it and whatever. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Like you made it.
Some people are just shitty people.
Well, you didn't.
Straight
You didn't
up.
communicate yourself well. Like take responsibility for what you didn't do well. Cool. That doesn't mean it's your fault.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
No.
there's something to be said about in breakups in particular. And I'm saying this to you and myself, where it's like you go through the phases, right? Sometimes you just gotta be pissed and you gotta be frustrated, and sometimes you gotta fucking cry because you miss somebody. Like those are all real.
Dude, I fucking cried this morning. I'm not even kidding. I was on the phone with my buddy Rick, who he hit me up. So, I'd been seeing somebody, and long story short, it. I'm trying to like say stuff about it without saying too much. But long story short, it was a situation where I did everything right for once. I feel like. And I did everything right, and they were aware of this.
Yeah.
And made it very well known that, like, look, it's not you, it's me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like one of those. But it was someone who I just felt so fucking comfortable with. And I'm sure, your listeners and people, and yourself included, I see you nodding your head. There's that, like, one person where it just, like, really fucking hurt.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Rick this morning, my buddy Rick, who I mentioned earlier. I was talking to him this morning, and I like started tearing up and shit because he asked me about it.
Yeah.
And after he saw the video, and he was like, "Dude, that was fucking beautiful." And then he was like, "Well, how did things go?" Because I met with this person for an undisclosed reason.
Yeah.
And then it ended up like going way south.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Dude, like what happened?" And I texted him like after the coffee meeting or whatever, and I just texted him a thumbs down, because that's what he told me to. He was like, "Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down," and I was just like, "All right, I'm gonna be literal and do that." I literally just gave him a thumbs down, and he hit me back. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't want to talk about it, man. Have a good rest of your night." And then today it was just like, not necessarily Pandora's box, but every single day when I first wake up, I do your journal.
Yeah.
So I like wrote some shit in that, and then as I was on the phone with him, I like started to kind of cry a little bit, but it wasn't like sobbing or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm angry. Like I'm going through things with a chip on my shoulder now. Like, it's not like a, well, fuck you, because she's amazing. She's an amazing woman, and I firmly believe that. But it's one of those things where it's just like, how can somebody, and this goes for any situation at all, how can somebody do everything right and still come up short?
Yeah, man.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I mean, I feel like that about my like business in the CrossFit gym that I was getting rid of whenever I met you. Like there's a lot to be said about that. It's funny, and one of the biggest things that I came to when I kind of wrestled with that question, I was actually fucking 27 years old. It's wild.
Universe, man.
Yeah, dog. No, it's like just because you do it for the right reasons and you work your ass off doesn't mean it's gonna work out. That's a story.
Dude,
too.
That's life.
That's exactly right. But the thing about it is, and from going through a very similar thing and a very similar breakup, some of the best work that I've done in my life was on the heels of that. It was in those feelings, right? It was in those feelings, and then you become super fucking grateful when you get through it. And it's this. That's happened a couple times, right? Where like shit goes south or whatever, and it's like maybe I didn't show up, in the best way. Growing up is really really a clusterfuck, right? Is
Absolutely.
in relationships, and everybody knows like the high school relationship into like the college one, into like they're like there's like a
There's
relationship
phases.
that
There's
identify
phases.
like a certain part of your life, and like, man, that was, looking back now, I'm like, man, that one was really fun. Like that was a fun one, and that one was like super dramatic, and that one was really really deep, really
or
fast,
anxious, or whatever the case is.
yeah, and then you look at your attachment styles, and you like, well, then I act this way because you have to like take the blame off of everybody and kind of look at the situation and say like, okay, well, what was not assigning fault or like you did everything right or wrong. It's like what wasn't there and what was there.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you can create context on the way that you felt around that situation, it's like, okay, cool. Well, I really appreciated like feeling this way. So when I feel that way again, boom, I know that that's something that's important to me.
That it's for real.
And where did it feel empty? Like that's the question that I like to ask myself. Like whenever there was a part where it's like in you, where it's like
this was lacking.
Yeah, like the feeling that I had was, and I use the word empty because it's like there was something that was just a little bit like the dial wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was an intuition thing where it's like something's not.
Yeah, you just
clicking.
feel it.
Yeah.
It's your body just kind of it's like that little bit of anxiety that you get where you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't. And me and my mom always we related to like our gut feeling.
Yeah.
Like our family's gut feeling. A mother's intuition is like second to none for one thing.
Yeah.
But my mom and like her like gut feeling is like crazy accurate.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like another one of those situations where I'm kind of starting to inherit that a little bit.
Yeah, you have to grow into that
and become more aware of what is this that I'm feeling? I don't know. Oh yeah. Now this is what I'm feeling. Like
well, you
now
need
it's
context.
something like
you have
that.
to go through some shit to figure that out.
To know that like, okay,
mm-hmm.
this is my gut feeling telling me yes or no or whatever, or jump right in, or pump the brakes, or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I feel like in this situation, for me, it was almost nothing. And I think that's what makes it so difficult.
Gotcha.
Because it wasn't one of those where it was like, oh, when it was great, it was great. When it was shitty, it was the fucking devil. Like, it wasn't any of that. It was like, everything's great, but just one side of the coin can't reciprocate like the other side.
Yeah.
For X, Y, and Z reasons. Which, of course, I know those reasons, and that's and that's totally fine. Like I said, this chick is still, holds a huge place in my heart and in my life, whether it's directly or in the shadows. So
yeah, well, that's a good place to be, man. There's a lot of learning in that. Like
absolutely.
You said. And the way, and the work that you're doing on the heels of that is money.
Oh,
but
dude, just wait.
I know, right? Well, then I think that there's something to be said for even the fact that you're doing the work now to be compassionate for that person says a lot about your character.
I appreciate that.
And that I love thinking about the fact that it's just that capacity doesn't go away. Right,
yeah.
Like you kind of like grow a little bit of a bigger, like a Grinch style, like a little bit bigger heart, like 2 sizes bigger, right? And it's like because
I wish we like knew the quote, like that would have been great. Just cue that audio bit.
You end up in that place where it's like, all right, cool, like that doesn't go away, and this person is a part of my life and a part of my story and a part of what I've done. And then the next time, right? Even when I meet somebody who's kind of a dick, dude, that compassion applies.
And not only that, but I mean, it could be the same person.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say like I'm holding out by any means.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, that's life, man. Like, things do come full circle, and they come full circle for the right reasons. And one of the biggest things that I always say to myself, and it's written on almost everything that I own, is timing is everything.
Yeah.
So that in itself is like a podcast episode.
Yeah.
Talking about timing and like literally when you break down that phrase, like timing is everything.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are applicable to just that, and I just feel like that's kind of what this was.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like a timing is everything, but this just wasn't the time.
Yeah.
Maybe it was for whatever reasons to, teach me things and, teach me patience. I'm like the most impatient person ever. But this one, like I said, I was doing everything right and came up short.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the thing. That's another languaging thing, right? It's like came up short. It's like, nah, you came up.
Always on the come up.
Always on the come up, dude.
Always on the come up.
I mean, and I feel that, and I appreciate you sharing that. And it's another, again, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here is just to talk through, because that's the thing is like you express yourself video and photo, and it's like just to see like this fucking guy who's working through the fields, man.
Yeah,
and let's talk about it. Let's bring it out here. Like that's the thing is like going through and hearing those things and being relatable and being transparent and being vulnerable and being strong in your vulnerability. You know, I think
As a male.
as a male is super resilient. It takes like I think the guy that I know that's the best at that is Mike Slimmy. Like that guy's he like takes my like vulnerability level up a notch every time I spend time with him, just because he's one of those guys who's just a super genuine, like compassionate guy, right?
Yeah.
And you get around those people and you surround yourself with those people and you have them to bounce things off of.
What is the saying? I think the saying is like you're the average of your closest 5 friends.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Or something like that.
Yeah, and if that's not working for you, you got to fucking break out.
Well, if that's the case, my friends are fucking rad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you end up in this place of being able to express that, and then so I'm excited to like talk about what do you have next, man? What's coming down the pipeline for you?
Dude, pipeline. I feel like a lot of podcast people say pipeline when it comes to that stuff, which is cool. No,
I'll think of a new phrase for you. Damn.
Pipeline. What, Mario Warp? Mario Pipe? I don't know. No, man. So basically just doing a little bit of the same. I'm starting to break more into the travel niche now. So I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of different destinations and doing the whole travel influencer shit.
Oh, dude. Don't belittle your travel influencer.
No, but it's just one of those things that, everyone wants to be an influencer and like blah, 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 and like all this shit. And it's like, yeah, that's great. And it's cool. But, part of that for me isn't just getting free stays at like a 5-star resort in Bali. It's submerging myself in a culture that's unfamiliar to me and territory that, like I talked about in my video, that just like get you fired up. Yeah. It like really gets your gears going. Just like my trip to Alaska recently, it was that. It was showed up there and you just feel so small. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is literally in the Uber ride into town. It was like 10:30 at night and still light outside. And I was like, can we stop here? Can we stop? And I'm like, oh, I have to act like I've been here before, even though I haven't. And I'm silently freaking out on the inside and a little bit on the outside. But no, so breaking more in the travel niche, building those. I want to be more of a visual and narrative storyteller. So I think a lot more of my cinematic shortcut docu-style videos are going to be narrated. I'm thinking, because this one went off with a bang. Of course, it was super emotional and really meant something to me, and I appreciate everyone who's watched it.
I was surprised to hear
far.
your voice in it. Whenever you showed it to
Dude,
me, I was like, oh shit.
I had people ask me if that was me.
Oh,
so
really?
It's like, do you not know what my fucking voice sounds like?
Wow.
Are we even friends at all? Like, what are you even? What? No, but so I have that. I'm looking to hopefully collaborate with John Hill, who is a professional skateboarder, podcaster, YouTuber, over 500,000 subs on YouTube. He's doing the damn thing.
He's just fucking doing numbers.
Dude, he's killing it. Him and his girlfriend, Sarah Dici, rhymes with Peachy.
Okay.
I don't think she'll watch this, but if you do, give me that shout out. But she also
she's stoked about it.
Yeah, she also does this. I actually bought some for merch actually recently. It says That Creative Life.
Oh, yeah.
It was in one of my YouTube videos, and she actually shouted me out on her story, so I was pumped on that. But he has a company called Progress Daily.
Got it.
And it's like a clothing streetwear company, and hopefully I think if I play my cards right in terms of just content creation and like the vision that I have for his brand, that's what it means to like progress daily.
Yeah.
In whatever it is that you do, just make sure you're always taking steps forwards and not backwards. And that's something I can really get down on, which is one of the reasons why I reached out and was like, hey, I would love to help out. So hopefully I'm looking to collaborate with him and maybe, like I said, like snake into one of their podcasts, because that would be super sick.
Well, you got some practice here, my man.
Oh, dude. I can talk. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, dude. Well, this has been fun as hell, dude.
Oh, man.
I appreciate
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And what's your YouTube channel?
So YouTube channel and pretty much all my other social is JT Wise Guy. So youtube.com/JT Wise Guy or @JT on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have merch coming out very soon, and
stay creative.
All the merch just says "Stay Creative." So we're gonna keep that going.
And all the links will be in the description, guys. If you guys want to check them out, dude, it's been real. We'll do it again. I'll see you at the retreat,
dude. Yeah, a couple weeks out.
Later on. That is the show, everybody. Go check out Josh. Go check out his Instagram. This guy puts a lot of work in. He's super engaged and super engaging. Such a fucking badass dude. So grateful to have this guy around. Stoked to have him at the Realness Retreat. I know he's going to create some fantastic content. And if you want to stay up to date with that, go follow me and the Realness Media on Instagram. My personal account is @ConnorWanders, Connor with an E, Wanders with an A. And the Realness Media is at the Realness Media. And they'll keep you up to date with what the hell is going on, guys. Make sure to go check out the YouTube channel. All of those links are also in the description, so check those out. And if you want to get down with some lifestyle design, one-on-one work to help you clear through the nonsense, get a little bit more dialed in on how to bring yourself to the world authentically, full as fuck, and ready to take on the rest of the life you have left. We don't know what happens after we die. We really don't. I'm assuming that you're going to be surprised by what the hell goes on. But while we're here, we might as well do everything we can to live fully. Now, I know it's a cliche. I get it, but it's something. It's something, and it fucking matters. Would love to have you on board. Go to gettherealness.com. Check out the lifestyle design tab. You can get a free 20-minute lifestyle design call. And now I'm going to play you out with a song by a friend of mine named Ross Shiflett. Now, Ross is a guy me and this guy were in the same weightlifting group in high school. I've known this kid since I was I'll tell you a quick story real quick. I started playing full contact football when I was in the 4th grade. Small town Texas, big kids. The first time I ever got my bell rung, ever, was by this dude right here, 4th grade, coming around the left side corner. I think it was like an option or some kind of sweep, and we just went helmet to helmet as 4th grade kids and lit each other the fuck up. Fast forward, 8 years or whatever, and this guy's strumming a guitar on the back of a truck in a pasture somewhere by a fire, drinking Keystone Light. Now the guy's just dropped a new album. He dropped a new album called Delilah. He's an awesome dude. He's one of those guys that has a hell of a story. I'm actually, next time in my hometown, just going to try and snag this guy, get him on the podcast. I would really appreciate if you guys go find him on Spotify, give him some support. Go find him. I'll drop all his info in the description as well, and the links to all of his dope ass Spotify stuff. And he's got this kind of southern, like this Texas grungy rock country vibe, and that's him. That is this guy. I mean, he's an awesome dude. His name's Ross Shiflett. Go check him out on Spotify. Gettherealness.com for all the deets. I think that's it, guys. Oh, and of course, JT Wise Guy, our beloved guest. Here's a song by Ross. We'll see y'all next time. Much love. Peace.
What I wouldn't do for you. Oh, you ever wear my radio flyer? Did you take my turn on your swinging tire for you? To notice me, just for you to notice me. Oh, what I wouldn't give. If a fella ever let you down, and I run them all off to the edge of this town for you to notice me, just for you to notice me. You a song if it brought me fame, I would give it all up for you to know my name, and for you to notice me, just for you to notice me. Write you a song if it brought me fame, give it all up for you to know my name, and for you for you to notice me. Yeah, just for you.